Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. Nolan Arenado has a preferred trade destination. Does he have the preferred trade destination? The Baltimore Orioles add a $15 million arm to their rotation, but is that actually good? And the latest on Roki Sasaki, I am Adam Weinrib, joined as always by Fansided's MLB insider Robert Murray, who is here to break down the latest in the rumor mill. It is Monday, January 6th, another week. Kind of a silent start to 2025, to be honest. Robert, I feel like we're waiting. I have been the number one advocate of this offseason's moving at a good pace, but the first 5.5 days of 2025, I'm actually like, all right, maybe I was wrong. This offseason sucks.
Yeah, it's been pretty boring. I'm not going to lie. It's not like it's just a Twitter thing where everything's quiet there. It's just been quiet in general. And I don't know if it's the lull after the holidays or what's going on, but it is indeed very quiet right now. There's maybe some people hibernating or sleeping, which actually would confirm the Twitter rumors. But I am ready to break down what we do know and what I am hearing around the league from different people. Good to be back here as always. Jalen Hurts is still in the concussion protocol. My day is ruined. Adam, how are you doing?
How are you? I'm good. That's kind of a backwards way to answer that question. I'm sorry about that. I am good. Yeah, I don't know. This is the longest concussion protocol of all time, especially since we watched Joe Burrow on Saturday night slam his head into the turf and get up and look at invisible birds above his eyes and then not go into the concussion protocol. It's kind of crazy that Jalen Hurts is taking this long. No glasses, Adam. Yeah, we're going to alternate. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes I'm going to have them on. Sometimes it's going to be a Phillies trucker hat from the 80s. It's really hard to be able to tell where I'm going to go on any given day. But 3 shows a week right now because we're still in the heart of the offseason. So we'll be back Wednesday afternoon, 1 o'clock Eastern, Friday, again at 3:30. Get your questions in. Get them into the Discord. If you have not joined, join us at either the All-Star or the Rumor Mill tier. Tomorrow, there is a Robert Murray Q&A in that All-Star channel. You get an hour-long private Q&A with Robert, myself. We alternate these. That's one of the benefits, as well as priority responses in the chat. So we'd love to see you in there. Already seeing some questions flowing in about some of the rumors that came out over the weekend and into this afternoon. And about whether or not I'm going to get a Gavin Lux jersey. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Maybe. Who knows? Probably not going to if he doesn't go to my team. Probably not going to if he does go to my team. But either way, appreciate the question. Also, subscribe to the Moonshot if you haven't. If you haven't, why not? It's our weekly baseball email newsletter where the Fansided MLB team, including the one and only Robert Murray, break down all the biggest stories in the big leagues with humor, insight, and behind-the-scenes info. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, too, if you haven't. And you might see the join button below that. Subscribe. That'll help you get into the Discord, all of that good stuff. Okay, Robert, where to start? I guess I kind of wanted to start with the Baltimore Orioles and maybe getting angry at someone else's window shutting prematurely after we flamed the Mariners pretty successfully about a week ago, even though there hasn't been any needle movement there. The Orioles had Charlie Morton for $15 million, sturdy, 41 years old, like the move in a vacuum. Don't like the move based on the rest of the Orioles offseason and the lack of urgency they've shown. Only multi-year deal is Tyler O'Neill with an opt-out. Grayson Rodriguez and Zach Eflin atop the rotation look much better as a 3 and a 4. Trade assets for Rogers at last year's deadline. Sagano and Morton are the pitching additions, and the rumor is that that's it for them. I guess Dylan Cease can materialize. I guess Luis Castillo could happen, but if this is it, I'm very angry at the Baltimore Orioles offseason. So I'm curious as to your perspective here.
Yeah, I went on that rant about the Seattle Mariners a couple weeks ago, and that got a lot of traction. I won't do a similar rant for the Orioles because they've actually spent. They've gone out and got Tyler O'Neill. They got Charlie Morton. They've gotten others for sure. But this cannot be it for them. I know you mentioned the rumor about them being done adding to the rotation. I am still skeptical on that because they added Sagano and they added Charlie Morton, but they lost Corbin Burns, and that is a huge piece to lose, both short-term and long-term. And if you have the opportunity, if you're the Orioles, to go out and get a Dylan Cease or one of these upper echelon starting pitchers, I think you have to go do it. I would not rule out the Orioles from adding another starting pitcher. I can understand the logic behind the 1-year deals or the short-term deals, at least offensively, just because they have so many talented young players on the major league roster that they're not going to want to block from getting consistent playing time. So I can understand the logic there. But as far as the rotation goes, they had a huge need last year for it. That's why they overspent at the trade deadline. in the trade with the Miami Marlins, and that looked like one of the worst deals in recent memory, where they parted with Connor Norby and another player. So I mean, they have the pieces, especially in the minors, to go out and get any player that they want. And the fact that they have not been willing to do that, I mean, at least as of right now, is really frustrating. They've been involved in these conversations, but obviously have not gotten any deals done. And it's frustrating because if you think that Sagano and Charlie Morton are going to end up going out and replacing Corbin Burns, both short and long term, I think you're going to be in for a rude awakening. So that's why I think they're not done quite yet.
Yeah, you would hope not. And I remember we hated the Rodgers deal last summer when it happened. I hate it just as much now, if not more. We asked them to trade their prospects, and then when they actually do, they cash a few top names in for sort of a confusing 6-starter from the Marlins, a bounce back candidate who still hasn't bounced back. So who knows what will obviously address the Orioles if they do make more maneuvers. I guess the mood is keep your eyes open for more pitching additions. Not necessarily done, but at this moment, I'm pretty underwhelmed. The comment, yeah.
And also, too, sorry, I just cut you off there, but
please.
I want to say this, is they have such a rare opportunity with the amount of young players that they have at the major league level. They have so many star-level young players and just a core that I don't think anybody in baseball, from at least a young talent perspective, can really match. This is such a unique opportunity. And if they don't go out and get another high-end starting pitcher, if they don't add some like high-end talent to that roster, this could end up being just a massive opportunity that's blown, and they would absolutely get scrutinized for it. Michael Elias would be under the microscope for it. We've already seen that one story. Kind of felt like a hit piece toward Michael Elias. Don't necessarily think that story was fair, but it is fair to be critical of Elias right now. But I will tell you, it took deep into the offseason last year for them to go out and get Corbin Burns, and there's still over a month left until pitchers and catchers report. You still have a 6 to 7 week window to go out and add players. The ability and time to go out and get new players or upgrades is not over yet. There's still a lot of time, but I understand the frustration, but let's be patient for now. But the criticism is warranted at this point.
Yeah, but you are right. The Burns trade took an awfully long time to materialize. That was last February, where we've still got plenty of time on the clock, which is my response whenever anyone, like the Red Sox fans in the comments right now, talk about their offseason being over. What are the odds that the Red Sox offseason is done? That sets nicely up the Nolan Arenado rumors that we wanted to talk about. A lot of smoke from last night. Not necessarily that a deal is getting closer to the finish line or even really being discussed, but the smoke was Chris Cotillo and the Boston side of things saying that Arenado and the Red Sox, they were a preferred destination and potentially the preferred destination after a trade to the Astros was scuttled earlier in the offseason. I saw John Denton earlier today speculate that Arenado has approved a trade to the Red Sox, not a package, but has told the Cardinals that, yes, that is a destination I would go to. And he also speculated that the Red Sox may be closer to out of the of the Bregman mix rather than, close to being in it. And these Arenado discussions would serve as sort of a signifier of that. I'm curious what you're thinking here, because for me, the Bregman fit, you might block some prospects. You might have to, Christian Campbell maybe has to go play some outfield, but I get it. Bregman at second base, I understand. And that's the kind of right-handed bat I think the Red Sox, that's a perfect fit. Arenado, I have to stretch a little bit further to see the perfect fit. It makes sense at Fenway in a vacuum, but there's a lot of moving pieces here.
No, there is a lot of moving pieces here. And if I'm the Red Sox, I would be really careful about this one. And Arenado, he's a very talented player. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame discussion for sure. Like, he's just an immensely talented guy, but he is not the same player that he was in Colorado. There's no mistaking it. Offensively, defensively, he's declined. So you're not going to get the same elite level player here. And you are going to be adding, if you end up acquiring Arenado, you're going to be adding a big salary to the mix. You got to be careful on what you end up giving up, because you can't give up too much for a guy who probably does not have that much wear and tear left on the tires here. And then there's the entire discussion here of, like, what do you do with Rafael Devers? What do you do with Triston Casas? Because Devers has been pretty adamant that he wants to be at third base. Like, that's his position of choice. So then if he wants to be at third base, where do you put Arenado then? Do you put him at first base where Casas is? does that lead to a Casas trade? Do you end up all of a sudden, let's say Devers ends up indicating that he's willing to move off of third base. Then you put Arenado at first, and then does that lead to a Casas trade? If I'm the Boston Red Sox, I do not trade Triston Casas. I would not do that. I think that would come back to bite him in the ass, and that would just be I think they look foolish if they ended up doing that. Maybe I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But if I'm the Red Sox, that is a move that I do not do. I would look to add a right-handed bat in a different way. And besides Arenado or Bregman, where I don't have to move on from Casas or give him limited playing time, because I just don't think that'd be fair to him and what his talent is. So that's where I'm at with it right now. I've seen the reports, and when Chris Cotillo and Sean McAdam, like I believe them. They're very good at what they do. But if I was a Red Sox, I would not do that deal.
Yeah, and Arenado at third base, that's the majority of his value right now. So if you're moving him to first base, what's the point of that? Moving Casas out of there for what? For high upside pitching? I mean, I like the Red Sox rotation right now. I don't see any reason, unless it's like Jared Jones, I don't see a reason why the pitching you're adding is more valuable than Triston Casas in your lineup. I mean, should Nolan Arenado buy a racehorse with Walker Buehler? Would that make this whole thing easier to swallow?
I mean, hey, whatever it takes. But my goodness, I've seen the amount of talk I've seen about that on Twitter. Didn't Walker Buehler even get asked about that too?
Yeah, Walker Buehler said he made a pitch to Bregman. I don't think it's a tough pitch to make. Come pet your horse. It's 4 words, but look, we'll see. We'll see if we have more on Arenado on Wednesday for sure. We'll continue to check in on this. Either way, I think a right-handed bat will arrive for the Red Sox at some point. Who also this week sort of said, Rob Bradford reported they don't think they're out on Sasaki, but they did not get a meeting with Roki Sasaki, which just sort of led me to wonder and ask, like, what's the situation on Sasaki? We're still 9 days away from January 15th. From what I understand, we will not get a decision on that date. He's just he's using that consideration period after the posting juncture expires. So there's going to be a delay on Roki Sasaki, but are teams being informed they're out? Are teams that didn't get a meeting considered out? Are there teams that did get a meeting that are now doing homework for a second? I mean, where do we stand here? I think all of America sort of assumes Dodgers v Padres, but we've got some Padres stuff to talk about in the chat as well.
No, we do. And I have not heard of anything about teams being eliminated by any means. The Red Sox being still involved despite not getting a meeting is interesting, but we're still probably a week or two, probably longer than that from a decision here. And it's not like it's a financial decision, because he's going to end up signing a minor league contract, and it's not going to be like breaking the bank by any means, but it's going to come down to him deciding who is the best fit for him as a person, but also who's going to end up maximizing him as a player. And that's why a lot of these teams, or at least a lot of people, at least publicly here, are thinking it's going to come down to either the Padres or the Dodgers. And we'll see who ultimately wins, or if another team comes in from behind, ends up swooping in. But this is a sweepstakes unlike any other. There is so many teams involved because, I mean, how can they not be when you have a young player who's this talented on a minor league contract available? And it's a rare opportunity. There's many teams trying, but we're still a little ways away from a decision here.
And we will keep everyone posted. I mean, although maybe we don't have to, because the comments say the NL is basically LA versus the Mets. No one else stands a chance from MC Lee. MC Lee, what team do you root for? Let me try to guess. Yeah, right. You're right. No one stands a chance. I mean, this rotation, who's touching these guys? Sean Manaea, Frankie Montas, Kodai Senga, David Peterson, Clay Holmes. Pack it in. Nobody's beating those guys in a 162 game season. But we do have a lot of, other NL luminaries, include the Padres. We got a lot of Padres fans asking, because we know they're a favorite for Sasaki, but there was sort of a bombshell Padres report that dropped today between when we set up this rundown and went live about an ownership struggle. Shiel Seidler came out with a long statement, a lot of accusations being levied. That fight might get kind of dirty. So obviously we can't determine with any clarity, who's in or out on Sasaki and what necessarily the ripple effects mean there, but just, door open to discuss sort of a situation that's developing today and might have long-term effects.
Yeah, this is a story that is only just getting started, and it was not something I was really aware that was going to be coming until today. And I should also mention like a key part of this lawsuit here that Shiel Seidler's lawsuit mentioned the words relocate in it. Like one of the lines in the lawsuit, and I'm reading off of it now, and I quote, Matt's efforts to promote his brother John as control person and to block Shiel may well be part of his efforts to sell and perhaps relocate the team over Shiel's objections. So this is a very messy one. It is only just getting started. But like the one thing that we do know as of this point is the Padres really have not been willing to sell or give out big contracts this offseason. They've been very inactive in terms of actually making moves. That's why I was seeing rumors about them possibly shedding payroll with like Luis Arraez mentioned, Dylan Cease mentioned, even Robert Suarez mentioned, and we saw John Heyman report that they're listening on a bunch of their other star players as well. It's unfortunate because when Peter Seidler was the owner and the definitive owner, he was willing to spend more than most owners. I mean, not maybe Steve Cohen is the exception there, but it shouldn't be like this. The Padres should be going out and spending and trying to compete with the Dodgers here. And perhaps this entire ownership mess here is contributing to their lack of movement this winter.
Well, surely not the answer that most of Padres fans in the comments were hoping for.
No,
but
it sucks.
Yeah, it just isn't fun or good at all. But I appreciate the questions about it, and obviously this is something that's going to linger. So we will talk about this more as time moves on. But that does sort of tie into. I did want to talk about a couple of players, and you wanted to talk about this in your notebook segment, and some of the comments are already asking. Justin also asking us to talk about Hai-Sung Kim, Lux, and Kike Hernandez. Recommend tuning into our show from Friday when we address that. That news went live. We talked about all those pieces pretty heavily, and hasn't been much movement there, though the Yankees and Mariners have both been connected to Gavin Lux over the weekend. And today there was some Luis Arraez Yankees buzz as well, which it was in a Jeff Passan ESPN Plus column. So I know you wanted to touch on that as well. Talking Padres, might as well bring it up now in terms of an additional cost that they might be able to clear.
Yeah, like one of the players that the Padres have listened on, and some people have even suggested shopped, has been Luis Arraez this offseason. And it makes plenty of sense. Like last year, he ended up making $13.7 million in arbitration, and he'll be due for a raise this year. And for a Padres team that is hurting for financial flexibility, moving on from that contract would make a lot of sense. And they could even improve their defense if they end up moving on from him and investing those dollars into other places. And one of the teams that is indeed interested in Arraez has been the New York Yankees, and they have a clear fit there. They've been looking for an infielder that could use a leadoff hitter, and they have financial flexibility to add a contract like that. I wouldn't imagine they would take on the entirety of that contract. I would imagine they would have the Padres eat some of that deal just to make the financials work there. But he's one of a few options that the Yankees are considering at this point. It's not just Luis Arraez. I mean, Gavin Lux got mentioned in a report. Can't remember who that was from earlier. And there's others that they've considered as well. So it's not Arraez or bust, but he is indeed one of the players that they're interested in.
It is interesting, too, to see them looking at second baseman in trade after, the tea leaves were saying, hey, Jazz Chisholm, third base, not his natural position. Might as well move him back to second and get to work on a third baseman. But since that moment in time, we've pretty much only seen them connected to incumbent second baseman. So something to keep an eye on as the Yankees continue to build their roster. And yeah, I'm pretty sure if the Yankees did get Luis Arraez, we'd get plenty of comments about his poor defense. But remember, this is a flawed all-star, not just a, negligent hitter, 26th man on the roster. He's a 3-time reigning batting champion with warts, but very good baseball player.
Oh, very good baseball player. Like as far as a pure hitter goes, he is one of the most talented hitters in baseball. I mean, he doesn't hit homers or many homers by any means, but he puts the ball in play unlike most others. And the one thing I'm really curious on with Arraez, not looking ahead, but next offseason is what exactly does his contract look like? Because his offense is obviously really good, but his defense is well below average. What does his contract look like? Who signs him? To me, it's fascinating. I have no idea what his contract will look like. I think that is going to be one that's going to be heavily discussed because it'll be one of the most polarizing free agents in recent memory, just from how great his offense is, and then just his defense is just obviously a huge question mark.
Yeah, and the comments saying, why are the Yankees so eager to keep Jazz away from second? I don't think it's that they're eager. I think it's that they know he can handle third. We just saw it. But if, what are the third base options on the trade market? Pretty bleak in comparison to some of these. It depends what you prefer, Arraez or Arenado. Pretty imperfect regardless across the board. But, you have the flexibility in Jazz. I think they'd prefer to have him at second. But if the options they prefer happen to play second base primarily, then they know they can slide Jazz over to third. We'll definitely keep everyone posted on this as it develops. Couple more names, then we'll hit a few more of your questions. Just some people that I feel like have been under discussed, and I've seen some questions about. Tanner Scott, Carlos Estevez, and the people at the top of the reliever market. We had some Tanner Scott chatter earlier in the comments. Definitely wanted to talk about him. And I think Chris Cotillo had a tweet earlier today that just listed the sheer number of relievers who are still available from top to middle to specialist tier. I mean, so many familiar names: Jose Leclerc, David Robertson, Colin Post, just endless talent. You could cram a tweet full of these names. Any word on the top of the market and maybe when this relief market starts to sort itself out a little bit?
Yeah, there is a lot of interest here in the relief market in general. And the guy that's obviously atop all of these lists has been Tanner Scott. And he is drawing interest from a wide variety of big market teams. And there is no shortage of interest there whatsoever. And as far as what his potential contract will go, I've always been under the impression that he'll get a very strong multi-year deal. Obviously, I was thinking probably 4 years. And then Sean McAdam, in one of his reports recently over there in Boston, mentioned he's heard a possible $20 million per year contract for Tanner Scott, which that is a huge number. I don't necessarily know what team would end up giving that kind of contract out, but it'd be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, annual average values in baseball history for relievers. So I think that is certainly one to watch. Maybe that's what he's asking for. It doesn't mean he's necessarily going to get it. But his market is extensive and he will do very well in free agency. Another player that I'm kind of surprised is still on the board has been Jack Flaherty. We've seen a lot of these starting pitchers go off the board here. And to me, he is the best starting pitcher available. I don't think it's close necessarily. I know Nick Pivetta is still out there, but I would take Flaherty over him for sure. And he's 29 years old. He does not have a qualifying offer. And he is also just, he's proven that he was really good in Detroit last year. Obviously struggled after the trade. And then he really ended up pitching well with the Dodgers and had a good postseason, pitched some huge innings for him down the stretch. I would not hesitate giving him a 3 or 4 year deal. I don't know what he's seeking necessarily. I don't know if he's looking for 5 years and maybe that's a holdup. But I'm really surprised that he's still on the board.
Yeah, no qualifying offer attached. It's wild that we're still hearing about Flaherty flapping in the breeze. But just wanted to, shed a spotlight on a couple of these names we haven't heard too much about. Now want to touch on a couple of teams that are being asked about in the comments. Again, really appreciate everybody rallying to the ball here. Nice to see you on today's Monday stream. We're here again on Wednesday and again on Friday. So turn your notifications on if you are subscribed to us so that you know when we are going live. Expect us on Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern. And again, if you join the Discord, you get a chat with Robert tomorrow. So make sure to save some questions for that as well. Getting a few about the Pirates, as we always do. And we've talked to Alex Verdugo on a few recent shows. So good to check in there. Hunter Lewis, why does the Pirates ownership enjoy me suffering? I don't know, but that kind of seems like a you problem. Did you do something to them? Is it you specifically, or is it just all Pirates fans in general? But that guy also commenting, Pirates, all caps, spaces between every letter of the name Pirates, so you know he means business. Any thoughts on Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I've made it clear all offseason that I don't envision them spending like significant dollars in free agency. I've mentioned that they're going to try to improve the offense and that 1 or 2 bats is possible. Alex Verdugo is a player that is of interest there, but as of last check, nothing was close. They've looked at the bullpen market. Who hasn't looked at the bullpen market by any means? So there's just, I wouldn't expect any big additions in Pittsburgh. I don't know of anything close there. Maybe that could change. I haven't checked there in a couple of days. But yeah, I don't know of anything imminent there in Pittsburgh. And I'm sorry that they're making you sad, and I'm sorry that they're making you feel miserable. I don't want anyone to feel miserable besides maybe Jacob Zanola.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nothing close in Pittsburgh to my knowledge.
Yeah, hopefully we make you feel a little bit better on this show. Ideally, although I made a Mets fan angry when I read off their pitching depth chart earlier, and for that I apologize. That wasn't to say the Mets are bad. I think they're good. I know what they have in Sean Manaea and David Peterson. I know what they turned him into. It's just to say it's not a wrap on 162 Mets Dodgers, Robert.
And how dare you forget Griffin Canning, by the way. I got to stand up for that one fan who I mentioned that you forgot Griffin Canning. So, yeah, how dare you, Adam?
I think the Mets are good. I know what magic they can do with rotation members that don't blow you away immediately. I'm just saying it's not Mets Dodgers is not a lock yet. We got a 162 game season for a reason, not pointless. If it were pointless, the Yankees would be in the World Series every year based on their payroll in the American League, and they weren't between 2009 and 2024. So it's more likely than not other teams will be heavily involved. But we will see, and we appreciate everyone's questions. Obviously, Cade Gilbertson wants to know about the Angels' plan for adding an infielder. We talked to Angels on this show a good deal lately because of the Alonso and Santander rumors, but beyond the big names too, any updates on their plans?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen them connected to all sorts of different names here, whether it's been Pete Alonso or Anthony Santander. I know they're considering a multitude of different things, with Santander being one of them. I don't think Alonso is the most likely option there by any means. But that's what I can confidently tell you. Is Perry is always examining the markets, both in free agency and trade, to see what's out there. He is active. He is not trying to he's not hibernating. But I don't necessarily know if I don't necessarily think Alonso is the most likely option there. I think the Mets remain the most likely option there, but they are considering Santander.
And yeah, Santander maybe needs to consider a team sooner rather than later, because we're getting down to the finish line. JK, Giants news, please. He also asked about some Giants infield rumors earlier. Any thoughts on San Francisco's roster post Willy Adames edition?
Yeah, to me, the Giants need to do more. There's been reports that they've been examining the trade market and trying to add some big names there, but they've been unsuccessful in that. Their offseason cannot be just Willy Adames and bust. Like, they have to do more. They have to me, they could use another arm in the rotation. They could use some added depth offensively, or even just some upgrades offensively for sure. The name Hassan Kim still is available. I don't know if they would go out and go get him, but I remember somebody on the last show mentioned his name there. Did not get any responses on that for whatever it's worth. But if you can end up getting Hassan Kim and pair him with Willy Adames in the infield, I think that'd be a really good thing. But I don't think the Giants really have the big financial flexibility to go out and add another big name. That was their big obstacle when it came to Corbin Burns and their pursuit there. I just don't think they're going to be spending big dollars on the market unless ownership approves a payroll expansion for Buster Posey.
And one final question. This is from the All-Star channel in the Discord. Punk Rock Poppy says, Buffalo Wild Wings or Wingstop? Now, I have never had Wingstop, and I don't really know what Wingstop's specialty is or where I would get it. I mean, this is
Dude,
I don't know. Is this a New York thing? Like, I'm just not totally aware. Wingstop, not really on my personal, it's not on my whiteboard. It just hasn't been. It's not on my draft board. Hasn't been an option for me. Buffalo Wild Wings, I'm a boneless guy. I think I'm going to get flambéed in the comments, and you know what? It's all good. Give me Buffalo Wild Wings, boneless wings. But I don't have enough data to answer this question. So, Robert, I'm curious on your end.
My thought is I need to find a new co-host for this podcast, because that is absolutely. You've never had Wingstop?
I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where I would find a Wingstop.
Yeah, oh my God, Villas, you don't know ball if you think Wingstop is overrated. Wingstop is tremendous. It is everywhere. It clears Buffalo Wild Wings. Yeah, it's not even close. Get their Parmesan garlic or just their medium wings or their boneless wings, and you will love life forever. It is absolutely delicious.
Yeah, this is obviously it's a New York bias take of just like if Wingstop were easily accessible, maybe I'd love it. I don't even know where to start. I feel like I'm in a dark room with Wingstop. But hey, I would love to try it. Maybe sponsor Baseball Insider's trip to your town. We grab Wingstop. We can talk ball. I can chat with Mets fans about why I think their rotation is very good, but not good enough to render the season irrelevant. I got all sorts of takes. May like some, may dislike others. Also, Robert, one final question. Dilcor asks, is your outfit color coordinated with your room? This one confused me. I'm seeing a lot of white on your walls and as well as televisions. And this is a green shirt, but the floor is yours.
Yeah, it is not color coordinated with my room. Maybe my hat is with my TVs because they're off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think you might need to get your eyes checked, Dilcor. But no, that we appreciate you for the comment, though. It was very nice of you. And by the way, if Kurt Mensching, who we love, who is a dedicated fan-sided employee and just one of the nicest guys that I've ever met in life, if he says Wingstop is great, then Wingstop is great. So that case is closed. Justin, you're a Cowboys fan. You have no room to talk. I think we outscored you guys 75-13 this year. Go Birds. I was about to say something else, but screw the Cowboys. That's a more PG version of what I wanted to say.
Yeah, wow. I have no idea what the PG-13 or R-rated version might have been. No idea what the PG version
I had no clues.
I can't.
That was almost a huge blunder.
Yeah, can't make heads or tails of that. But we appreciate the questions. Hit us with baseball, non-baseball. Happy to talk boneless versus bone-in wings. I mean, we're here for it all. We'll be back on Wednesday afternoon, 1:00 Eastern, Friday, 3:30 Eastern. Still doing 3 shows all January long. Hopefully the offseason pace picks up a little bit. Come on, the new year, it's over, right? We had our celebrations, we popped champagne, we did the New Year's Day bowl games, and now it's January 6th. Like, it's first full week of January. We're ready. News, rumors, movement, get the wheels turning, and we'll be here when they do. If you're interested in joining the Discord, hit that join button below the video. Get that link to the Discord. Love to see you either at the Rumor Mill tier or the All-Star tier. A lot of channels in there that you get access to talk non-baseball too. It's just a fun community. Love to see you there. Robert Murray, thank you for joining me. Again, Q&A tomorrow. That's 3:30 Eastern. All-Stars, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're doing normal showtime, but Q&A in the channel.
Yeah, no, exactly. We got a lot of content planned. We got the Q&A tomorrow. We got 2 more shows later this week. So gonna be hearing a lot from me, a lot from Adam. I cannot wait. Hopefully the stove heats up here because it is frigid. It is cold. It is, it's not good, but the market will heat up eventually. Just patience. I got to remind myself of that too, because I want some moves to happen. I want to break some news. I need my first scoop of 2025, but we've had to wait for that. But we do appreciate everyone who's tuned in today for this show and just for all these shows. Adam, I appreciate you. Everyone in the comments, appreciate you. Joanne, our lovely producer, we appreciate you. I will see everyone in the Discord tomorrow for our Q&A. Cannot wait.
Yeah, I'll be lurking. And shout out, of course, to the comments for the Tanner McKee. I'm bigger Tanner McKee fan than I ever thought I could be. Thank you for beating the Giants yesterday. You didn't have to. But you and Kenneth Gainwell and that Smith guy, I mean, unstoppable. The Giants defense obviously going full blast. Grant Calcaterra, all these ballers in Philadelphia help secure us the 3rd overall pick so that we can take Jackson Dart 48 picks too high. So pretty pumped about that. Shane and Dable run it back for some reason. Cool. Anyway, see you in the Discord tomorrow. Come armed with your questions. We'll see you here on this feed on Wednesday afternoon, 1:00 Eastern. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.